Hi, friends. It's Todd Van Dyke from the Athletic Trainers Society of New Jersey. Here we are catching up with another couple of speakers you can expect to see at this year's annual conference, March 3rd through 4th at the Tropicana in Atlantic City. It's time to chat with our gang from Amazon. We've got Alan Parcells and Sarah Rodriguez with us. Friends, thanks for a couple of minutes over this holiday weekend.
Of course,
Thanks for
absolutely.
having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
So we kind of use a standard formula in these conversations, just so that we don't miss anything. Tell us what's the latest in the athletic training world inside Amazon. What's new with y'all?
All right. So I'll kick it off. Athletic training in the industrial setting in general, not just, necessarily at Amazon, is a field that is, or I shouldn't say a field, but an avenue for athletic trainers that, to be honest, didn't exist when I was in school. We didn't get a lot of that coverage. And, when I first went into athletic training, it was traditional setting or nothing. But it's really an avenue that has opened up a lot of possibilities for athletic trainers to use more of our non-traditional skill set. It's one thing to be, in an athletic training clinic or on the field and have to think on the fly and use those, those quick skills that we learn in school. But now we take those skills and we apply them to the industrial setting. So whereas we're not necessarily working with your traditional athlete, we're working with a lot of individuals that are still physically active and really do benefit from having the expertise of an athletic trainer by their side during their workday.
Very cool. What would be the biggest surprise folks would have, Sarah, coming from an athlete, the traditional setting to Amazon?
Yeah, coming from a lot of different settings prior to the industrial setting, I think the biggest surprise for myself, and Alan, I'm sure can attest to this, is we work very proactively to prevent the injuries rather than reactively, which is what most traditional athletic trainers are used to out in the field, whether you come from college athletics, high school athletics, those tend to be the most common places you see athletic trainers talked about. But in this setting, we're really thinking ahead and how can we prevent us from having to even respond to an injury or an injury from even happening. And I think that was the biggest change is going about it almost backwards.
Sure. Now, you guys are not going to be first timers in Atlantic City this March. Why do you keep coming back? I mean, it's cold, there's snow, it's a drive. What's special about it to you both?
For me, I think a big part of it is the camaraderie. It's a great opportunity for me to see a lot of athletic trainers that I've spent a lot of time with, and selfishly, I was the PR chair for the ATSNJ for 7 years. So I made a lot of good friends and colleagues that I don't necessarily see day to day now, like when I was in the traditional setting, but it's a great opportunity to connect with them. I've been a vendor for the past few years with with the other companies. So
Sure.
there's that opportunity as well, and to give back. I've been in part of the student conference a few times. I was a panelist the last couple years. I was part of their roundtable. So I try to be the mentor that I needed when I was a student and a young professional. So giving the having the opportunity to give back during the conference is also a plus for me.
And Sarah, I know your answer already. If you come to AC, it's more in-person QT with Alan, right?
Yeah, Alan doesn't get to spend enough time with me. But no, for me, really, I think back to when I was a student and had my first opportunities to come to the ATSNJ conference and how it really opened up a lot of doors for me. Really great networking opportunity. And then coming back to the topic we're speaking about, I would have never known about some of the other settings that are out there if I didn't come to ATSNJ and meet people working in so many diverse environments. So I'm hoping to be able to give that opportunity to other students that may be there, and of course, other professionals that are already into the athletic training world that may be looking for a change. So for me, it's giving back, but maybe in a different way.
Sure. Tell us about your session, friends. What do we have the topic, but what the heck does that mean? What are folks going to hear?
Sarah, I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, sure. So we're going to really dive into what an industrial athletic training day looks like. Again, it's very proactive as opposed to reactive. And you're starting to see more of these roles pop up all throughout the country, really. They range from just being classified as ergonomic specialists or injury prevention. Some are health and wellness specialists. They're all listed as different things, but you would never know they exist if you're not looking for it, because they all have such different descriptions. And then somewhere in those requisites will say athletic trainers. So that's a really, important part of the search for someone that may want to get into this setting. We also are going to talk about why it's so important to have athletic trainers in the industrial setting. So how we impact work comp costs, how we are able to actually think critically to develop projects and initiatives at these industrial settings. And then, of course, probably the most important, being able to perform ergonomic assessments, because we have an awesome background and skill set to do that effectively. And I'm sure Alan has some to add to that as well.
Yeah, I actually think you did a really nice job of describing it, to be honest. It's kind of like that, the hidden gem, I'll call it. And it's not necessarily a setting that I knew anything about before kind of taking that leap of faith and joining into the industrial athletic training world. I had friends that had worked in it and had talked about it, but until you experience it for yourself, or talk to someone who has been, quote unquote, in the weeds and has been a part of this, it's really a unique setting. Yes, there are certain things that you can and cannot do, just as there are in the traditional setting. We're just governed by OSHA instead of, by other things. But there's really, like, when we look at ultimately, the reason I got into athletic training is to help make a difference, right? And there's no better feeling for me, and I'm sure a lot of my fellow athletic trainers will say, like, when you get an athlete through the rehab process, you help them through an injury, you get them back on the field, like seeing them succeed is so unbelievably rewarding, right? It's not always about the thank yous. Well, now, when I was working as an industrial athletic trainer, it wasn't about getting them back on the field. It was getting them back to work so that they can pay their bills, they can feed their family, they can buy their kids and loved ones, holiday gifts. It's a little bit different, but the reward is honestly just the same. You're really making a true difference in the lives of individuals that probably have never had access to an athletic trainer or hadn't had an experience. So they don't know what our background is. So there's so much education involved in it. But what we consider those simple injuries, that we've seen a million times as students and clinicians, you're making such a difference for somebody, on a financial and a life aspect that for me is one of the things that I didn't realize going in that I very quickly learned to understand. And the athletic training background it prepares you so unbelievably well to be able to do that.
Oh, how wonderful. We talk a lot in this series about, okay, the chat is over. It's an hour of good information, good connection, all of that. What's your hope for people when they get back to their settings? What's your hope, well, when they step out of your breakout room?
Personally, my hope is that they gain some information on a setting that maybe they were thinking about. Maybe they're, looking at working different hours, right? Like our hours can vary. Some people work day shifts, some, work 9 to 5, some work, overnights, whatever the case may be. It kind of varies by the individual. Maybe they're looking at that. Maybe they're looking at making a change. And this might be an avenue that now they can explore and they have some more information about, and they have two individuals that they can reach out to and ask questions and get the answers that maybe they wanted to dive a little bit deeper into the weeds on what the setting is. And maybe it opens up the eyes of some students that maybe are unsure of the route they want to go, and it keeps them in the profession rather than going to do a different discipline.
Sure.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Alan. I know I mentioned it before. I wish I had known how much was out there, all those years ago when I was first entering into the athletic training profession, right? You talk so much about those traditional settings, and now our profession has grown immensely. And so if we can open up the eyes of students and even those looking for change, as Alan mentioned, if they know what to look for, they may find more opportunities. Sometimes it's a search to find some change or something new. So hopefully giving them this understanding of what to be looking for and what it entails will make somebody make that change that they've been afraid to, or open up what kind of jobs they're applying to if they're a student.
It's wonderful. And hey, friends, you know that if you've watched any of these series, towards the end, we kind of drop a little unexpected prize, an Easter egg, well, anything, call it what you want. It's that phrase that if you remember all of them, and we'll give you a chance to remind us what they all are, you're going to win a really cool prize that Ken Cieslak, our president, doesn't even know he's bought for you yet. This is great. We're recording them all before Ken even knows this. So this has been kind of the same here and there. So let's go with this. How about non-traditional settings? Because that's what this was all about. And the real opportunity to see that athletic training is happening in more and more different places. And that's a wonderful thing and an important thing for the folks that we all take care of. But industrial settings. Sarah, Allen, so appreciative of your time. Friends, I hope you'll register atsnj.org, and we'll see you down in Atlantic City March 3rd and 4th. Appreciate it, folks. Happy almost New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.